The world of fashion is always evolving, but the way we view style has drastically changed over the years. Are industry staples like Vogue magazine and New York Fashion Week on their way out, and what will they be replaced with? If you thought that over-the-top, pricey designer clothes are a recent invention, think again. As long as people have been covering themselves in clothing, there have been those willing to capitalize on their desires to look their best. For example, Paul Poiret was once the most fashionable dress designer prior to World War I. In 2010, the cheapest of his designs cost double the annual salary of the average scullery maid. He was responsible for corsets falling out of style in favor of bras, which definitely made women breathe easier. But he also invented the hobble skirt, which is ridiculously difficult to walk in. According to Paul, he freed the bust and he shackled the legs. There have always been designers like Paul pushing high-priced items and introducing new trends, but these people aren't entirely responsible for the evolution of fashion. Major world events have a surprising impact on the clothing we wear, as Paul found out the hard way when he returned home after World War I. His once highly prized cutting-edge and elaborate designs were now terribly unfashionable. Women could no longer afford to be hobbled in ridiculous skirts. They started wearing more pants and practical items because they had work to do. This began the rise of the legendary Coco Chanel, whose no-frill designs and sportswear were huge hits during the First World War. Sleeved jumpsuits were popular. These siren suits could be easily pulled on within a moment's notice and still manage to look stylish. Designers like Edith Head and Andrew Lever embraced making clothes for the working class. Since this was a time when function was valued over form, designers tried to sneak in little luxuries where they could, and hats became the fashion accessory of the time. Human history has always impacted fashion, but the opposite is also true. Style can be used to influence events, bring people together, and advertise allegiances. Mary Quant was a pioneer of the mod look and is often credited with creating the miniskirt. This is definitely a style we take for granted now, but back in the 60s it was revolutionary. These short skirts represented young people who were dressing to please themselves instead of worrying about what other people thought. Even today, it's not uncommon for clothing to send a message. The right outfit can definitely help send a message, but who do we look to for guidance on how to fill our closets? For a long time, illustrious fashion houses like Christian Dior and Saint Laurent helped provide fashion inspiration even for those of us who can't quite afford them. But being officially labeled haute couture isn't easy, and it's only gotten more difficult as time goes on. In 1946, there were 106 couture houses, but in 1970, that number had dropped to only 19. The strict rules from Les Chambres Syndicales de la Haute Couture got harder to follow when the number of post-war mass-produced goods increased. Gianni Versace's company had been a big name since it was founded in 1978, but Versace was forced to cancel its annual fashion show from 2004 to 2012 due to the recession hurting its profit margins too much. Yet there are plenty of fashion icons out there who aren't giving up. Karl Lagerfeld staged the Fendi Autumn-Winter 2016 Couture Show to celebrate the 90th anniversary of Chanel. You might notice some familiar faces among the models, including Kendall Jenner and Bella Hadid, because if fashion houses want to survive, they're going to have to adapt, and that means utilizing social media stars. Not only has what we find fashionable changed over the years, but the entire way we shop for clothing is different. Of course, one obvious change is that now we're doing most of our shopping online. But the internet is also where we go to get fashion inspiration. The market for plus-sized women's clothing in the United States will be worth an estimated $31.9 billion in 2020. 11% of mass-produced clothing is available in a size 14 and up, while only 0.6% of luxury fashion can say the same. But now, brands like Diane von Furstenberg and Dolce & Gabbana are finally adding more sizes to increase their amount of potential customers. Since fashion is now more accessible than ever, representation has become something that is no longer optional. Using celebrities to advertise clothes is still a popular method, but it's nowhere near as effective as it once was. We know celebrities get free designer duds to wear on the red carpet, and they have access to the best of the best in terms of clothes and beauty treatments. But when we see influencers, they come across as more authentic, and that makes us trust their judgment and admire their style. According to service company Meltwater, consumers prefer to get their info from influencers over celeb endorsements. Instagram is the most popular platform, with over 8 times more beauty influencers compared to others like Twitter and YouTube. More and more people are seeing magazines like Vogue as a high fashion fantasy instead of something achievable. To combat this, some designers have taken a break from creating clothing and are now focused on making furniture. Sure, it might sound strange, but many brands like Gucci now have their own lines of home decor. Instead of selling clothing, they're focused on selling a lifestyle. Gucci creative director Alessandro Michele believes on selling consumers on experience instead of just a piece of clothing. See you next time!